be of service to our citizens, right? We are not there to be a convenience.
All right,
And
thanks.
we should make every effort to make things
Figuring it
easy
out.
for our citizens.
Well, they always have the court.
Even at the cost of making it a nightmare for our staff.
Exactly.
I've tried.
Hire more
I
staff.
don't agree with that.
Well, you'll get an hallelujah for that, but
Maybe.
God, there is something rough under this table.
No, I realize that it's a headache, a night bookkeeping headache, but we are not in the not on. No.
Ashley, are you gonna go to the COG meeting on Thursday?
I can't do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Are you going to the COG meeting Thursday?
I have to.
Yeah, you're in it. That's what I figured. You could give us the update. I cannot be there. I got invited through Region 9, and I kind of told Region 9 if there's
Well,
already.
Region 9 needs to come to our meeting.
They
too,
will be there. There will be
because
Okay.
most of the
since
board.
it's kind of going to end up being a.
But if there's more than
initiate,
3 of
since-
us,
I
know.
can't attend.
okay. So you can be our guy on
I
that.
guess I'm going to have to be because
Okay.
really what I know that the thrust of the discussion will be to try to figure out a way to combine the efforts of the two organizations into one.
That's what I'm hearing too. But I figure I get the scoop from Region 9 at our.
Yeah, well, and I'll touch on that
Okay.
tonight because that part of that has to do with
And David just said he's gonna go, but Ashley's gonna go to Region 9.
The Region 9 Executive Board has been invited, but I figured David can be for our board. And then
Okay.
I might be able to figure something.
I have to work.
Because we have an RHA vote before that. And
Oh.
I'm like, I don't think I can make it.
Okay.
Michael, can I get you to unmute yourself and just say text,
trying
test,
to get
test?
my property sold over here.
Okay, you got it.
Which one?
Thank you, just thank you, appreciate
Oh.
you.
And we're supposed to close next Thursday, and essentially we're basically where we were 3 weeks ago as far as what's still on the property. And so a lot of stuff has to be moved in 7 days.
Who's buying that?
Taylor,
From the
the
band.
San Juan band. He's,
He's killing it.
uh, he needs space.
He told me that they have like a 2-year
Yeah.
wait on.
Yeah, and, so it's a good business, and,
I need
I
to go
could
take
see
a
some places there where I could be of help to him because I know that kind of stuff. Production.
What's Jim gonna do?
He's gonna set up shop down in Arborlees. And,
Oh, he is?
You know, and I hated booting him out of there.
Yeah.
I haven't had any out of him and John in a year.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
So I can't.
Hello, hello?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get that Toyota that I've had in process, get Jim to finish that up. And if he finishes that up, we can all be square.
He found a shop in Arborlees?
That's what he said.
That's so far. It's so far out there.
Jim's been his own worst enemy.
I mean, that's my go-to. Like he's done my tires forever. You know.
And if he would have, and you know, and it's gonna bother a lot of people not to have that
Yeah.
convenience, right?
That would be a good business for somebody to.
But,
Hello.
you know, the thing is, you know, I would give rent. I would never.
Right. No, I hear you. You got to do what you got to do.
I have a question. When we do these annexations, I don't care who answers, because I'm just curious. Because when I was looking at, we have the, where are you at? So we have this guy from last meeting.
How are you?
With
Good.
all these places. So when we annex them in, we're
Good.
saying that
He's,
they can build, they can do
they're,
whatever.
like, weaning
they
him
have
off the oxygen, so,
infrastructure to
like,
support it.
No.
Basically, they only say when he's sleeping.
Okay, so at what
Well,
point do
or
we
riding in the car.
determine that we have the infrastructure
He has to have it on, and then when she's like
Before each
visibly
one.
watching him, yeah. But
Okay, so tonight, we're
he
talking about
was off of
the
it for
tiny
like 2
homes.
hours, and then started
And
kind of
so-
tanking. So
Really?
they just said maybe a couple more weeks. Yeah. But his little, like those little sticky patches to hold the. Oh, he's like breaking out. Yeah, poor
Yeah, it's
dude.
really sad. This is like the total gallons we provide. This is gonna subtract this amount,
You know, the Phelps family.
which leaves us
Yeah,
here.
sure.
So at this time, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we are considering 17
Up in Denver.
Oh, and just kind of get doing.
Oh.
No, that typically, yeah, typically we wouldn't do that.
But every time we're like, yeah, sure, we vote yes.
Well,
we're
and
like,
honestly, and we really do
Oh.
look at that, and right
Who
now.
is? I'm not.
Nice. Are they home now?
Public
They're- okay.
Hey, yeah.
Maybe I'd
other
answer
engineers are
today.
looking at that, and we do have adequate.
just want you to write down there. My phone number? Yes. Oh, great. Is there a new board?
Well, we're getting a new board first January.
Oh, okay.
Actually, officers, nobody else are running the board, and now that goes.
You're disappointing. You're like, you didn't show up. You're the guy.
What day is the meeting? Perfect.
The second week of January, but I'll call you to remind you.
Give us enough
What time?
1 o'clock.
One, thank you.
change for their annexation to cover.
Just like when you go on those rides, you gotta be able to system.
I missed that.
As long as I put it on my calendar, I'll check.
My guess is you won't find many people over 60 who are inclined.
I know that their problem was the fact that
I think you're right.
serving. That was the main issue.
My husband and I lived in a tiny home.
Okay.
Yeah, over in Pagosa, and we're both,
And that's
5'3".
based on hydrology that they.
we did okay.
Just come to a meeting.
What, how was that? I mean, how big was it?
You made it.
Somebody doing 40 over
Kitchen and a toilet?
No, we had a.
That's right. He needs to sit right
in
in front of my cake. This is his first meeting.
Did what?
Just awesome there.
This is sit right in front.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I understand what you're saying with that,
This is
but
our own
I'm not
composting
understanding this.
toilet.
We're asked
Okay. Does Pete Moss do that? Is that compost? Really? Really?
Yeah,
I'll be darned.
yeah, that's
I
what
didn't
people
know.
use that or.
I'm
like,
sure you did.
composting toilets.
There you go.
Well, yes and no, and I mean,
I just wondered about that.
Yeah, we had a mini kitchen
Close to the door.
that had like a Coleman cook stove and
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's gotta be a certain,
I went,
age that you'd have to be to do that.
absolutely.
You know, I mean,
Yes, we were.
that are single, you know. I mean, that'd be hard, my God.
A lot of moving parts again today.
I would like to know each time.
Yeah, where were you?
Yeah. So you saw these. We're just gonna
But it fails.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda, removing 6C
Yeah,
and
right,
7C.
I mean, there's a sign there that, I don't think I've ever been there, but that's, they cut off.
Careful, she's gonna put you front and center,
Jeez.
within arm's reach.
Were you just living, or were you working, or what were you doing?
Sure you was.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was still a pretty good commute. Yeah.
Before we call this meeting to order, I would like to encourage the public to sign in. We have a new sign-up sheet in the back, especially if you're going to stand up and give public input. That way we have you on record and a way to get a hold of you and email you back with answers. So either now or before you leave today. We'll just try to get everybody used to signing in.
jazzy table. Where did it come from? I didn't even notice it when I walked.
It's new.
Is this just with his?
Yeah, it's just updated, and that's gonna be, we'll update that in 6A. So I guess we're approving with removing, and
Same.
updating. Right? All right, everybody ready? All right. I will go ahead and call this meeting to order, dated Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. It is now 6:31. Roll call, please.
Trustee Black.
Here.
Trustee Dallison.
Here.
Trustee Joswick.
Here,
Trustee Moreland.
Here.
Trustee Politis. Here. Trustee Cesaro.
Here.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Here.
All present.
All right, would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, does the board have any conflicts of interest to announce at this time? Seeing none, we will move on to general public input. If members of the audience would like to address the board not pertaining to items on the agenda, you can go ahead and step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive, Mesa Meadows. So I'm going to talk about what's not on the agenda first, which was the second part of what I was going to talk about, but you've broken it into two parts. So, secondly, there are multiple projects on the horizon for the town. At the last planning meeting, you kind of presented a really good map and an idea of kind of what's coming down in the next year, two, whatever it may be. And that's a lot of projects. Now is the opportunity for you to require that all future projects be required to include some open space and creativity of their space. Developers will always try and get the maximum return of their monies and on their monies. I understand that. However, I believe that they all are also sometimes willing to participate in compromising for the betterment of the impacted neighborhoods. Some of the developers are not going to live in the projects that they propose, and as such, do not have to live with the impacts. They take their money and they go home. Sometimes they need help in getting there and doing the right thing. That is where you come in. You can help the developers in doing the right thing with good projects that include items that will positively impact our neighborhoods, such as parks and open space. As the saying goes, with great powers come great responsibility. Please use it wisely.
Boy, to be 6 inches taller. Phyllis Ludwig, 9205 County Road 521. I just wanted to call your attention, and everybody keep eyes out. The senior center experienced a little more theft this last week. Another one of our tables on the deck and 4 chairs disappeared. Altogether, we've lost over $2,700 of stuff. And we would sure like some security cameras or something over there in various places to stop this, because they're going to be hard to replace. We have lost 3 tables, 12 chairs, and 2 benches. And I just think security cameras would help us a lot. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else on Zoom?
I do have a question. We budgeted for a security camera down there, didn't we?
That was for, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know if you heard that, Phyllis, or not, but we budgeted for a security camera.
We did budget for security cameras.
We went over about $280 worth of chains and locks. Chained up the rest of it out on the deck. But do you have any idea when they may be coming in?
2022.
Yeah, it's in our,
Yeah, we can't,
Sometime in 2022.
all right. Anyone else? All right, did everybody get a chance to look at the agenda? I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda, removing item 6C and 7C, as well as updates to 6A and 7B on the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from November 16th, 2021?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes dated November 16th, 2021.
Second,
All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to department reports. Jeremy, Public Works, do you have any updates to your report? Does the board have any questions for Jeremy at this time? All right. Marshall McIntyre is,
He's not here today.
okay,
Family emergency.
all right. Katie?
So, LPEA did a kind of a workshop regarding electric, magnetic. I'm just gonna get all the, but anyway, basically any concern about the electric lines on their proposed use by review. We have asked LPA to reapply regarding the new poles and the new right-of-way that they would like to put in here, basically through, it'd be north of Bayfield Center Drive through a neighborhood where the houses are fairly close. So they try to address the concerns about health and safety regarding electric and any cancer-causing or health risks to that area. So a couple of the neighbors have been there, and they are still DMEA. One of the DMEA representatives said that they will go back to the public or to the landowners, adjacent landowners, and work with them about right-of-way. And I think that's what we asked them almost 2 years ago. So.
All right, does the board have any questions for Katie?
That board, or that line is lit up or not lit up?
The line is only a redundant line currently right now.
Is
So-
that their objective to light it all the time if they get
No,
that?
it would be a redundant access to Pagosa Springs.
Okay.
Do they have condemnation authority?
I believe they do, because they're a utility, and there's houses actually sitting right on the current easements, and so the concern is that they're basically gonna have an easement into houses and bedrooms and living rooms.
Okay, so there is an easement in which they are going to,
They
Put
already
whatever they're-
have a 10-foot easement, they're looking for a 30-foot easement.
yeah, okay.
And taller poles, but we are asking them to go back through the application process because they submitted their application in 2019. It was never signed. So we're asking them to go through the process in our new system.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on, Beth, do you have any updates to your?
Should I make my announcement?
Sure.
Madam Mayor, trustees, staff, and community members, it's been an incredible 15 months, but I'm not planning to sign the professional service agreement for 2022. I will always be most grateful to the opportunity you all provided to me, and I'm extremely proud of what we accomplished as a team. Several other opportunities have been coming my way, thanks in a large part to what I've learned and been able to make happen in Bayfield. It's time to field these and land on my next community endeavor. My current professional service agreement runs through 12/30/21. In the remaining time, I will work collaboratively to offload and put all key information, grants, documents, and passwords into the common drive. This list is not exclusive and can be added to. CDOT documents, the pending DOLA grant, event documents for the July 4th block party, passwords for online platforms we use, LEAP training with a designated staff member, and scanning all of the CVRF documents from 2020. I really have loved every minute of being in Bayfield, and this is an opportunity, I believe, for the town to transition and also for me. So thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Thanks,
And
Beth.
good luck to you. All right, moving on to our financial agenda. Did everybody get a chance to look at the November 2021 disbursements?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve November 2021 disbursements.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, at this time, I'd like to suspend the regular meeting and open up the public hearing regarding the Marlin Village annexation. Keep in mind, we will have a staff presentation. The applicant presentation, we'll have time for public input, and we'll have time for the applicant to respond. We'd like to remind the trustees to hold your questions till the end. Katie, would you like to?
And Nancy Dosdale is our consultant planner from SEH, and she will be the staff on this. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Apologize for being remote and backwards, but I had we were up for Saturday night. Hopefully this will work good. So your request before you tonight, is just simply the annexation of the parcels shown in your staff report. This is really somewhat of a simple project, but it's super complicated as far as process. As you'll recall, we recently approved the comprehensive plan amendment to revise the parcels in the comprehensive high-density residential. The applicants intend to develop a tiny home park, but at this point, we are simply looking at the annexation. Notice I know the staff report says initial zoning and EV sketch plan, but due to some noticing issues, we will need to be doing those two pieces of the request in 2 weeks. I know it's a little bit unusual, but the planning commission had to make a recommendation on zoning. They will be looking at this next week. So what we have in front of you is simply an annexation. And just to go over the criteria for annexation, is the first criteria under statute is that you have at least 1/6 of your boundary contiguous with town boundaries. In this case, they have significantly more than that. They're adjacent to town open space on the eastern portion. And that they're also, it's approximately 1/3 of a mile from Mill Street. We do have a mix of uses in the surrounding area, from single family and rural residential. But there's also churches, CDOT maintenance yard, mini storage in the general neighborhood. The property already has Bayfield Water and Bayfield Sanitation District growing in Bayfield Parkway. It's within our 3-mile plan. It's within our comprehensive plan, as I said. refer it out to agencies. Really, what happened, of course, is that given the number of layered applications that we have here, most of the comments really are for later stages of review than just the annexation. But things like access, from the town marshal, things like, Colorado Geologic Survey's concerns will all have to be addressed at the later stages of review. Let me just go over that a little bit. So tonight you'll do annexation. In 2 weeks you'll, assuming you approve the annexation, you will be looking at the initial zoning. In this case, we're looking at probably a high density residential. The applicants are proposing the PUD, so that will be layered with a sketch. Later, then, if we get through all of that, it will have to come back with the preliminary and final plans for the PUD, and that's the stages where we really get down to the detail. Where's the drainage going? How's it designed? Where's the sewer line? What are the conditions as far as sewer or water crossing the road? So, at this point, I'll keep this short. I know the applicants have a presentation. It's certainly consistent with comprehensive plan, which we just revised for a similar project. Meets all the criteria under statute for annexation. We've advertised for public hearing, approve the resolution. So staff is recommending approval of the annexation, finding that it meets all requirements of the land use code and that it's eligible for annexation, meeting all criteria of Colorado revised statute. Citation for them, but that it is consistent. Any questions?
Nancy, they're gonna hold that until, the end.
All right, do we have the applicant?
Hi, my name is Mark Head. I live at 374 County Road 520. And my wife Lynn and I would like to have the town annex our property for the purpose of developing it into a tiny home on wheels village. This property started out as 3 parcels, and we had to go through a little bit to get it into one parcel. One of the parcels had we just had a quick claim deed, and we had to go through a quieting title to get it into our name. Then we had a surveyor go out, and he surveyed everything and created a plat to basically turn it into one parcel. So with that, could you bring that one screen up, the
I'll try it.
rendition?
We have some issues here.
Okay. So we have sewer on the south side of Bayfield Parkway. So we're gonna have to tap into that by cutting the road to get to it. Water, fiber optics and power is on the north side, which this property is on. Not sure how much of this I need to go into, tell you the truth. We're just asking for annexation right now. So, once that comes up, I'll. almost there. So that's just a rendition of what we are shooting for here as far as the layout. And so we have, I kind of went off of mobile home park requirements and RV park requirements, because there really isn't anything for a tiny home village just yet to go off of. So there's outside storage that is required for the mobile home park. You can see that on the left side of the screen. Over on the right side of the screen, there's storage over there also, and this is part of that area that that Nancy talked about, where there needs to be a 25-foot setback from the edge of the, where it goes down into the old riverbed. And that's something that we can adjust if that's, if that needs to be. There will be parking in front of that little unit, guest parking. There will also be guest parking just closer, well, in between, there's a green patch in between those two tiny homes there on the south side through there. So there's not a lot of guest parking, but there is a little bit. Again, I don't know how much is required. There's going to be a pavilion up on that top part, the corner, that overlooks down on the wetlands down there. We'll have a grill, picnic tables, all that for them. Right now, I think that's all I have for this. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll open it up for public input.
I just have a couple of questions. Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana. Are these permanent residences?
Mm.
They are, they'll be under a 12-month lease.
12-month lease, okay. And, yeah, how many are you proposing? 16? 15. So after the 1-year lease, then they can stay or go?
Correct.
Is that, and are all these on wheels where they can be moved
Yes.
out? So there's no permanent structures per se?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, these will just be on wheels. We don't want any foundations or anything. We don't want permanent residents or buildings.
And it's a ground lease then situation for the residents?
Right.
Yeah. And each one has a sewer and water hookup, just like an RV park would have?
Water, power, fiber optics.
Uh-huh. And will there be architectural kind of oversight?
Yes, everyone will need to be approved. It needs to be built by a manufacturer, not a home built. It's gonna be diverse. It's not gonna look like the same, you know, we don't want the same look. So there won't be any container homes.
Will there be an HOA?
Yes.
That's you control all that?
Yes.
Those are my only questions.
Do we have any other questions, comments, input?
Can we ask questions?
Yes.
This is more of a question for staff than for developer, but since this is a location that had one water sewer connection, now it's going to have an additional 14, or maybe it's 15 because they're all new. I don't know how that works. Like what does that infrastructure, how does that happen? I'm just curious.
We have
I
Jeremy.
think this sounds pretty cool, so I'm just trying to understand the town's part of it.
Well, in discussions, and I think the thought process is that we install a large enough service to serve the 15 different individual lots. We'll master meet them, and then that water master meter would determine the sewer calculations for the billing, and they would basically be a small subdivision, is how we would treat that. So we wouldn't necessarily be individually billing all of these. We'd leave that up to the site owners,
Okay.
and we would just install a large enough service to serve the lots.
Cool.
And I have a question. Because we show lots on here, are they gonna have the capacity to eventually like sell these individual lots? Or is this like still stay one property and they're just showing us the lots for the purpose of us knowing how many homes are gonna be on the property? Is that correct, Nancy?
Yeah, the way it's proposed, it'll be one ownership, with rental of the, they couldn't sell them separately.
Okay.
I think as Jeremy said, if you don't have an individual have to keep them separately, so it's gonna remain one property.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the board or any follow-up from Nancy?
Is it discussed at when this is at the planning meeting, but where does snow removal go? Like in one of those like green spaces?
Yeah, there is it's in the packet, there is a plan for snow removal.
Okay. I didn't see that, I'm sorry.
Do we have anyone else? If not, I will go ahead and close the public hearing and open up our work session. We encourage the public to stay and listen to our utility rates discussion.
All right, so the packet regarding mosquito control, water, sewer, and garbage rates is at the back. There is nothing online at this time. This is basically a workshop to discuss these items. The first item that is actually on this work session is the billing information and payment options. And let me just find that. So I just kind of wanted to bring you a little bit about a history. In the ordinance 211, and actually Frank Joswick, Mr. Josh Joswick, our trustee, signed this ordinance in 1990. It had actually, we're not really sure how the billing occurred, but it looks like there could have been around 10 days to actually pay their water bill. Ordinance 342 was adopted April 7th of 2009. And it gives 5 business days after the due date to actually pay it before the penalty is assessed. And so I did basically just in October utilities, and that would have been 31 days from the day the bill was completed to the day that the bill was due. The new ordinance, Ordinance 465, that was adopted November 16th of 2021, and this includes all utility bills. The other two only included water at the time. It actually would have been about 33 days. In fact, give or take, there's always going to be a couple days more in this new system versus the old system because we're not waiting the full 5 business days. We're basically waiting the next business day after the 26th. So there is a letter regarding complaints about not giving that extra 5 days, but I wanted to make sure that the Board of Trustees and the public was aware that we do have, you're actually going to have more days and get your bill earlier in the month. And also, I want to thank Rachel Davenport for putting this customer uses of express bill pay. Keep in mind, we just started that in August of 2021, and we have quite a few customers that are using express bill pay. So in other words, when it is processed by our billing vendor, It comes to you via email, and you can pay it online. You can set up automatic payments. You can still get the paper bill, and you can still pay on express bill. So you have a lot of different options regarding express bill pay. So even though we are getting extra days with the new ordinance, you actually have a shorter period of time if you decide to use any of the express pay options. You can still call in if you would like to pay your bill over the phone as well. So I just kind of wanted to provide that just kind of as background. So you just have the benefit of the stats actually since August and some of the history about our billing since 1990 or before 1990.
Does our credit and debit collection company charge a fee for use of their service?
Express Bill Pay charges us a fee. It does not charge the customer a fee.
Okay, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right.
So the next one, the town, this is the last month of recycling. You have the last Monday of December to have your recycling picked up. And after that, if you have an account through the town, you will no longer be a customer with recycling. So you will have to go to TDL and sign up for recycling through TDL. And I wanted to make sure that I put that document in the packet. So that not only is this one is in the packet basically so that people could sign up personally if they desire. And this is just seemed to be a mutual agreement between TDL's owner and the town. This is just how it all came out. So the 2021 annual report regarding mosquito control is also in there. Keep in mind that 2021 was the first year that we covered all of the town of Bayfield. Prior to that, it was only basically, I want to say the primary school, Mesa Meadows, downtown area that was included. We now include all of the town of Bayfield in mosquito control program. And I know it's hard to think about mosquitoes when we're thinking about snow, but I think it's a really important information about their trapping, about control. They have gotten better about notifying me so that I can get that information out onto Facebook is basically our last minute. And keep in mind, because it's a public health and safety issue regarding West Nile virus, that we have those options. I've had people wanting, to spray in the backs of the yards. We don't do that. Are we going to take care of grasshoppers? No, we don't do that. We don't spray for tarantulas. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we've been asked about. I know there's a real grasshopper problem this last year, but it's just mosquitoes, and it's mosquitoes because of the health risk to our population and to the potential of West Nile. And they are looking for the Culex mosquito in the traps, and so that's what the traps are set for. Do you have any questions on that? All right. So now I'm going to go to the piece that's actually not in the packet. So I have a couple pages here. It's called My Mosquito Control, Water, Sewer, and Garbage Rates. And I have a narrative and then basically kind of a spreadsheet that outlines that. And then there's some sheets in the back that show kind of this illustration of how we're losing money on the rates that we have. Now keep in mind that we did not raise rates in 2021. We went from the 2020 rates into 2021, most likely because of the pandemic. So the first part is water in town, residential, commercial, during a sustainable drought. As you may remember, we adopted the drought management plan back in July. And with the lack of snow, we may be in a drought this summer. But anyway, there's always things that we need to make sure we keep the public advised of our water capacity. So for the most part, the rates have been increased by 5%. The residential account base includes 6,000 gallons, of which has been the historical 6,000 gallons. The commercial monthly base rate is now based on their tap size, and there's not an ERT. As you may remember, at some point in 2007, 2018, the board had a discussion about removing that ERT rate structure in your system. And ERT is actually only for sewer. It's not necessarily a water calculation. So just kind of FYI. They're commercial, there's no minimum, and gallons, also all gallons would be charged. And each letter in here references what's in the actual spreadsheet. So you can go to that if you would like to see more detailed information about those rates. The water in the multifamily and lodging, this is something that they were just basically charged an ERT model. We have a lot of ADUs that do not, are not paying for that second resident on their property. So this would include those ADUs, basically fairly cover a second residence. So for the most part, again, the rates have been increased by 5%. Multifamily and lodging has typically been treated as multiple residential. I'm not going to repeat that again. So anyway, there's no minimum allowance and all gallons are charged. Typically, multiple residential units lodging are less likely to have landscaping or less need for landscaping. So they are typically, and I just did a kind of a swath through some of the multifamily accounts, and that is pretty much the case, that their usage may go up a little bit in the summertime, but it's not to the amount of gallonage that most single family residentials use. So anyway, this multifamily, there would not be a change from sustainable to severe to an extreme drought status. So they would remain the same. And in this definition would be multifamily, lodging and recreational vehicles, such as the tiny home village that you just heard about. And then multifamily will also include mixed use rate. And that means typically there'll be a commercial, maybe an office and a apartment combined together. For now, we're going to put that in this multi-family rate for now. In C, water in town residential, commercial, severe drought. These are the rates that increased by 5%. This is the rates per 1,000 gallons when that drought is determined. And of course, the next one would be extreme drought. Now, you did adopt these July of this year, so all I did is add 5% to those water usage rates. Water out of town, currently right now, you charge 2 times the in-town rate. However, you have not billed more for usage of water. So in this case, we're charging them 1.5 times the base rate, and then also increasing out-of-town rates by 1.5 times as well. So it's following that same process. And again, there's no minimum allowance. So in other words, out-of-town water users will be paying for every water used, and you can go to that E section in the spreadsheet and see basically what those charges would be. So sewer in-town residential and commercial, for the most part, again, 5% increase. Residential sewer usage is calculated on the winter, November through March. Water use and billed from April through March. So this would remain as we have done it in the past. The I&I fee will remain for all accounts, commercial monthly base fee for sewer. You'll see those sewer tap, the base fee, and then all commercial sewer uses will be charged per water usage that month. What I thought was kind of interesting is I went through a lot of the commercial accounts, and some of your commercial accounts actually use a lot more water in the wintertime than they do in the summertime. So you've been using kind of this more residential model, or vice versa, this residential model for commercial, and typically they operate on a completely different platform. when you think about commercial users, restaurants, grocery stores, gas stations, and things like that. So they would be charged for, their sewer would be charged for all water used. Sewer in town, multifamily and lodging, again, increased by 5%, I&I fee remains. Basically the same, almost the same as the water. All usage will be billed, and you can see those rates in G. And then sewer out of town, for some reason, the in town was $56 or $54.20, and your out of town was $56. So you only charge $1.80 over out of town that you charged in town. And actually, if you use 3,000 gallons in town, you're already being charged more than out of town. So this follows the same, the I&I, and then we have also added a lift station surcharge of $10. We need to start determining what those lift stations cost and what you're going to start charging users for that service of a lift station.
Which raises the question, Katie, given that we have lift stations in a variety of places, so that we would basically add a lift station surcharge, or we would think about adding a lift station surcharge to like Sunrise Estates, in addition to all of those people over the hill.
If that is the direction the board would like to go, that can certainly be added. We would have to determine actually who's on a lift station. It's not going to be that difficult, but
and the reason I ask that is, I mean, we basically let that subdivision in, and would we not be adding another charge to them that wouldn't be, you know, levied across the entirety of the usage, and somewhat unfair to those people that are all of a sudden getting levied with an additional charge for the electricity on their pump.
I think you've made a good argument. I also want to make sure that typically the utility charges have to be based fairly, and that's your decision. If you decide that you would like to charge all users that are on a lift station that surcharge, that is your option. I did not add that, but it can be added.
I mean, Jeremy, do you have anything to add to that? I kind of felt like it was explained to us in 2018 that there was a vast difference between, you know, what it was costing us in Gym Village versus, you know, the Sunrise lift station. So
when you look at the efficiency of the lift stations, I would say that Cinnamon Heights, which is the Shell lift station, and Sunrise have been recently retrofitted, and they're much more efficient than we currently are operating out of town. And that's our largest lift station as well, too. So the majority of the additional costs for maintenance are being put into the Homestead lift station, which serves some of those other residents that are in the out of town portion concurrently. So if we were to determine the maintenance cost for all lift stations combined, you'd see a larger percentage of that going to the larger lift station just because of the capacity and the age of it. So we retrofitted the Sunrise lift station in beginning of 2019, and then we did the Shell lift station towards the end, I think July, August of 2019 as well. So they're relatively new, and they're more efficient as far as for pumping of power. If that answers your question somewhat. I don't know.
Kind of. I mean, I appreciate the fact that there's a cost associated with them, but across the board, my concern is, you know, we let people in and they hook up to our sewer system and our water system, and their expectation is that the cost is gonna be the same if you're in Sunrise Estates, or whether you're at Dove Ranch, or whether you're at wherever. It's gonna be similar, and it's gonna have a surcharge on it unless you're out of town. Then I can justify that. That's just, you know, just for discussion. I guess that's what this is for.
So there is no minimum allowance, and you're probably thinking, well, what do we do with Homestead? They're not our water customers, they're only our sewer customers. So you would charge them a minimum of 6,000 gallons and charge them that rate of 6,000 gallons unless they can prove otherwise that they are not using that, and they would have to bring in their billing from a water purveyor, basically demonstrating that November through March billing is not 6,000 gallons. Maybe it's 3,000 or 2,000. That's up to them. And for commercial, it would be a minimum of 15,000, unless they can prove that they're using less water. I have a feeling they're not going to come in if they use more water. But this would be that minimum charge for all commercial users. So next I have mosquito control. We covered all of the town of Bayfield. We paid more out to our contractor than we did receive in revenue. And so we anticipated that. Well, it was not a mistake. We anticipated that. Basically, we knew that would just leave it $1. But if we raise it by 35 cents from $1 to $1.35, that will basically cover the cost of our vendor for 2022. And there is a escalating in the 3-year contract that we have with vector disease control. So garbage rates, we have a contract with WCA, also known as GFL. They are required to furnish us 90 days in advance of any rate change, and they have not done it in the last 2 years. So we will maintain that same $12.64 for residential garbage carts. Water plant investment fees have not been increased over 10 years. Nobody here could remember them being increased, so we could go back 13 or 14 years. So we're just taking a big shot at raising them by 10% and then having a completely different rate for out of town. So I actually provided Ignacio's bills, which we're getting closer to Ignacio's billing for water and sewer. Keep in mind, this is the Southern Ute utility district. It's not necessarily Ignacio, but this is what it costs for them to get a water and sewer tap in Ignacio.
And
So we're
those-
not that far off.
You know, my concern is, the plant investment fees might not be high enough, and I think Jeremy might, weigh in on this a little bit, but construction costs have gone up a lot on things that are public works related, and particularly sewer plants, water plants, things like that. And I just don't see where, just kind of the status quo raising at 10% is necessarily enough, particularly given the fact that we haven't raised it in the past, and when you compare it to the cost of Ignacio, for example, or Durango, we're kind of out of the loop on water investment, and we certainly, if we have to expand that plant, then we need to make certain that there is adequate money there. And I think that the plant investment fees, of course, are the only real ways to leverage more money so that we can be insured to have enough money there to build what we need to build when the time arises.
I don't think this is high enough, but I thought a 10% would probably be difficult to digest. So I'm certainly...
I can digest 10%, and honestly, when you look at it compared to other communities, I think it's grotesquely low, knowing what, if you had to go out and drill a well, for example, it's gonna cost you $10,000. It will cost you $10,000. And then you're gonna have to put in the infrastructure to support the well. So to ask for a water tap in the neighborhood of $8,000 is not out of line in the least. You know, and I know that we're looking at something that's less than that.
And I've never seen a town charge the same out of town as you've charged in town, unless it was in a district, sewer district. So This is basically went up quite a bit more, time and a half for out-of-town taps, because typically you do charge more for
And if we
out-of-town.
did another expansion of our plant, you know, we have room there to expand some of it, obviously. But what is that cost going to be when we do expand it? On today's dollars, what would that be in 5 years? I mean, can we anticipate that a little bit? Because we kind of got to work that into these costs now and make sure that those costs escalate accordingly as we move forward. Or fees, I should say.
Yeah. So just as a reminder, David, I know the microphone, I love the comments that you're making, but we are on YouTube. Just want to make sure
Okay,
that we
I'm sorry.
capture everything.
And also, I know that these are Ignacio's current rates, and
Yeah,
they
they're
are,
2021. They're
and
not
they are
2020.
in discussion of also hiking theirs
Right,
quite a bit,
and-
so.
So I know we're not out of line in asking, and I mean, to give this good consideration now. You know, and I understand, with respect to, the rates we pay each month, why there's grave concern amongst the ratepayers. I mean, their monthly income isn't going up either. So everybody has to kind of make it work. But when it comes to plant investment fees, that's when we have to make it pay to put it in to start with, because we don't want to get caught up in a situation like we did in previous years where we didn't have our sewer plant available for developers to tap into. Can you hear me, Mike?
All right. So water and plant investment fees and sewer plant investment fees are basically the same. They're just provided on the spreadsheet that follows K and L. M is a little bit more itemized, and these are the fees that were adopted with the recent utility code ordinances adopted November 16th of last month. So a red tag, it does cost us to send people out to red tag. So I know that I'll probably waive this for a while until people get accustomed to the fact that you are going to be billed for a red tag. Basically, certification to the county treasurer, water disconnection fee, it was $7.50, but nobody ever charged it because it was more hassle than it was worth. But $35 are pretty fair to send somebody out to turn things on and turn things off. A delinquent penalty will remain 5%. The plan review fee is also one of the other fees that you'll be adopting tonight as well, but I thought I'd just add that because it's also referenced in one of these ordinances. The pre-annexation processing fee, currently right now, I just finished recording 2 pre-annexations. One was $38 and one was $43. So we're not covering our cost. I think $100 would at least cover our staff time cost and recording. Excess infiltration fee, basically what that is, if there is, once we finish that I&I project and people have not fixed their lines and it's being infiltrated by irrigation water or whatever, their own service line, that's what they'll be charged until we can get it fixed. Extension of sewer system, basically this is just a review, this is just a fee paid to the town, and there would also be an additional engineering deposit basically collected basically to allow that extension. And then grease inspection, that will be 0 for 2022, but we'll probably have a fee kind of putting that policy together for this coming year, and then by 2023 there'll probably be just an inspection fee just to verify that the grease trap or interceptor has cleaned and operating and not allowing the grease to flow into our sewer system. The only thing that I forgot on here that we've been talking about for quite a while is a transfer fee to transfer an account from one owner to the next owner. That's pretty common. In fact, the title companies are still surprised we don't charge anything. I would consider $100 fair because it does take us quite a bit of process to transfer the account from one to another during a house sale. And it's typically collected during the title, during the closing. So that would be just another fee. So the one rate that I can't quite put my hands around is specifically for parks and open space, whether we're talking about schools, and this would be a public rate for schools, actually the town itself for taking care of parks. If we have a restroom out there, we shouldn't be charging the town for sewer usage for 300,000 gallons of water to water the park. So there's some things we're gonna have to work out, but we'll work that through probably as we kind of work through this, so. You are behind in your rates. If we go to the page, that's page 6, I believe. Page 9, sorry. I basically broke out your water and your sewer. So in the pink, you have your water, basically the debt that you're paying. The actual cost of debt, water shares, adjudication, admin fees, capital improvement, labor operations per tap, you're collecting $77.14. Excuse me, the cost of that is $77.14. Sewer, you have debt. You have the debt to the general fund, you have admin fees, capital improvement, labor and operations. That cost, the operational cost is $128. And then you go to the green side, basically, and that basically shows you the revenue. So for your water fund, you're losing $10 a tap. Now granted, you're gonna save money for a while and you do capital improvements. However, you wanna be careful not to go into debt to continue to use your reserves. So there's a little bit of, when you talk about capital improvement, it's a little bit kind of creates some inconsistencies in this. You would have to basically look at a rate study over time, what those capital improvements cost. And that's typically what you would do at the time you do a good rate study. You did have a rate study a couple of years ago. I think there were some concerns about its reliability, and I think it's concerns of basically the way Cassell's put together and the town's ability to really give good information out of there. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but I think all of the staff understands that how Cassell's probably got set up historically and never really got updated. That's when we found some ERTs and some other things that weren't really updated. So if we go back to the 5% change in 2022, and perhaps have another 5% increase in October after good water usage is done, that may be something to consider to start to catch up with your rates, basically to cover your operations. So the spreadsheet, I'm not going to go through unless there's any questions on that. The last page basically kind of gives customers an idea of what the general residential account would be, and then it would probably look like under multifamily lodging, a 3/4 inch tap, a 1 inch tap, and things like that. So it kind of gives you that outlook of what it looked. Though I don't have out of town, I only have in town basically on the right side columns. So except for the 6th column was a proposed residential out. So I'm certainly looking for any input in order to adopt rates for 2022. You could actually wait until your January meeting. But we have some other work to do under Cassell that is something we would like to consider on the 21st of December.
I'm just kind of curious about other members of the board on your feelings towards that, or plant investment fees. Does anybody have any opinions or comments or feelings?
I mean, it needs to be done at some point.
So that'll be a discussion we can certainly revisit.
The plan improvement fees
Mm.
to increase more than I've actually got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd kind of like to know what you're looking at.
That's what, yeah, that's why I'm curious about bringing it up and having that discussion.
If we
Or,
kind of had a idea as to what a cost would be for a plant expansion, I mean, is it gonna cost us 1 million or 2 million or whatever, then we kind of get us idea as to what kind of money we're gonna have to pursue grant-wise, and whatever we can, you know, the idea is to take our plant fees and then leverage them. And
So I'll just tell you that your adjudication to take water shares from irrigation to municipal, that cost you $50,000 this last year. It's gonna cost you another $50,000 this next year for those new shares we have to adjudicate. It doesn't happen, and it takes years. Maybe Jeremy knows how long this last one has been going on, but it's expensive. So
but
you
when
think
it's
about-
done, we have the water.
Mm-hmm.
So you think about it, you have you've taken in $100,000 in plant improvement fees in each fund, and you got 50,000 just to adjudicate the water rights. So you're already behind, and we've had a
What?
good year, most years.
And, you know, and that is a point well taken. But the thing is, you know, the thing is once we get done with the adjudication, it is finished. I mean, we have the water at that point, or at least rights to the water if it exists. That's the big assumption, if it exists.
So I'm just gonna maybe, so that we can kind of get, go back to the plant improvement fees. Let's start with water. From 7260 is what I'm proposing. Are you looking at 8,000, 8,500, 9,000? What's your?
I think somewhere around $8,000 is justifiable initially, but you know, the thing is that if we had some hard figures, it would be easier to come up with a figure and say, well, this is what we're gonna actually need to have to use to leverage.
Well, I wanna make sure that you understand currently how your financial system, the way you managed it, you're just putting the money into revenue. You're not using it for capital improvements.
Well, it shouldn't,
I agree.
it shouldn't be doing
I
that.
agree.
It shouldn't be doing that. The capital improvement ought to be in its own account. And that's where we got in trouble before. The capital improvements needs to be in its own account.
I agree.
And we shouldn't be so, I mean, that money needs to be made or available when we get to that point when we have to invest. Well, no, like I said,
Okay, I mean,
I'm
that's
not
what you're
adv-
saying, and you're saying you agree.
Yeah, I'm saying we
How
need
does that
to,
happen? How do we make it happen then?
yeah, we need to raise, you know, we just have to, this board needs to come to an agreement that we're gonna raise the plant investment fee to $8,000, give or take, instead of $6,600
So you
on the water.
have, a finance director that's been in training, and she's doing an awesome job. Keep in mind that we're still working on sales tax reports and a couple other things, but we're gonna get there. We're not gonna get there at the end of 2022, but I think we're working on a lot of things. It's just basically updating Cassell to reflect. When we print out a monthly report, we actually know where it was and what we're doing. I think basically getting some competency in all of our financial reports, I think is very important. So we're getting there, and I agree, we're gonna, I'm headed that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would like a little more information or maybe some input from, Jeremy, on your thoughts on what we actually need. What you think a good target figure is on that.
I mean, I couldn't give you that right now.
Right, just,
There's some, we've had some studies done in the past with the water master plan, the wastewater master plan that we've adopted. And some of those plans, actions, and expansion is listed, and it has some engineer estimates in there, and that might be a good place to start. One thing I would, if we're 10 years behind in plan investment fees or more, I don't know if you just make that jump to raise that to current standard after having it deferred for 10 years or more.
or we ease into it.
That might be a little bit hard for some of your local contractors to swallow, taking that. So I think maybe if you take an incremental approach, but I can have you some of those figures next meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy.
I would agree with the incremental approach of increasing it, not just like, bam, here's how much it is all at once.
And sewer the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Any other concerns about 5% across the board? I should say, not everything is 5%, but there are a lot of, the general rule.
What would that, like, on your average household, what would that look like? Like, totally? I mean, it's 5%, but how much is that?
So a household?
Yeah. For all these
Yeah,
together?
wow.
So if you took a residential in, currently right now, I would say it's $106.22 times. how much water-
5%? So it'd be 111, so $5 in essence.
Yeah, so $5. So
Okay.
yeah, you're looking at about $111. Now I keep in mind the same left side does not include any water usage, so it really depends on the usage of the household.
Right. I just like to look at the average, because then I can talk about it if somebody asks.
Yeah, and I mean, it's never fun to raise rates. I mean, there's always going to be
No.
pushback, but we need to understand that we need to pay for,
Well, our
we need to
enterprise,
be able to
our
pay for our
enterprises
funds.
need to break even or be slightly ahead.
Agreed.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
It's like, if we
And that's
didn't,
not- and
if we
that's-
don't
yeah.
do that, then there's no
And
way
it's
to
really
pay for
not,
those things.
it's not
so.
hard for us to keep on top of that, just to make certain that that's the case.
And what's our timeline for wanting to adopt? Because we'll have some additional information at the next meeting.
If I can take an average residential, I'll probably just pick a couple residences, maybe one in Mesa Meadows, one in Dove Ranch. You won't know who the names are.
That's fine.
One up Mountain View Drive, and just see what that would look like from their current bill to their new bill. Commercial, I'm sorry, that's just a completely different change,
Yeah.
and that's why we're gonna talk a little bit later on about our forensic audit, so.
Does the board have any other comments, questions?
I kind of wonder, Jeremy, what the process will be for this in letter M for this excess infiltration fee. My fear is always that I'm like one of those properties, you know? So what's the process? You tell somebody you've discovered that something's going on with theirs, they have to fix it, property owner has to fix it.
Let's get the ISA program in place, and if we don't get compliance from a private property owner, and 5 years is up, it's their deal.
So 5 years. I mean, you're saying,
You started collecting mid-year, so we have 4.5 years, and that's our goal to camera, to find out where those at, and basically repair those I&I areas, and if we don't get compliance from landowners, then we'll move on, and, when those funds are done, that project's done.
And we are scheduled to start a full system inspection in June of this year.
okay.
So we'll do all 23 miles of the sewer pipe through GPRS. So that's coming up
Okay.
we're gonna hit it pretty hard, so hopefully we can extend some of these additional line items
Great.
within the timeline.
Will you
Yeah.
be able to use a GPS unit in that thing so that you can mark taps as you go through? I'm just curious.
Yeah, they're gonna go to full NASCAR reporting.
Okay,
So there'll
cool.
be a lot of useful information that'll come out of that.
Very good.
Awesome.
All right, I'd allow the public to go ahead and comment or ask questions at this time if anyone has any public comment.
I have a quick question, sorry. Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana. Am I reading this correctly on this page 9, where the pink is current and the green is where we actually are? Or that's how far we're falling behind?
That's how far we're falling behind.
That
Yeah.
is crazy to me. I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense to me if we're already 10 years
Yeah.
in arrears on any increases.
That's why
And we
we're having.
continue to follow behind, and we have all these multiple projects coming online. We're gonna be in a way worse situation if you don't make a change sooner than later.
I mean, that's why it's
That's why it's
come
on
to
the
light.
docket.
That's why we're talking.
Well, we don't want to like hurt people financially. That's why we mention incremental. But it's going to be a lot of it.
Right.
When you say
You're right,
incremental, it's
absolutely.
not like 1%, 2%. It's like 10, 20. They're larger percentages.
There's a lot of, in Durango as an example, though, a lot of the developments that are going on have hefty increases. They know what's coming, and they do it. They stick it to the developers
Right.
who are making a ton of money on these projects. This is your chance to get back some of that money for future use, for all of us who want to live here. So, yeah, good for you for thinking about this, and incremental is fine, but let's try to get caught up at some point.
Anybody else? All right, I will go ahead and close the work session and resume our regular meeting. Moving on to old and new business, do we have any general public input pertaining to items 6A, B, or D through H on the agenda?
Yes, I do. Sorry. I'm getting into these
We
meetings
appreciate
now,
you
so,
being here.
you know, I like it. Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive. So, I live on Louisiana Drive, and this is in regards to Mustang Crossing, because it affects me personally and my neighbors personally. So, having said that, we all don't want it in our backyard or close the gate behind you or whatever it is. But it will impact my community big time, because when I sat in on the meeting with the developer of Mustang, who is from Idaho, by the way, is not going to live here, we could have as many as 600 cars a day additional coming out of that subdivision. 80-plus homes are proposed in that subdivision. That, to me, is a bit extreme for not only where we are, but where we're headed, where our costs are, where we're falling behind in those costs, all those things considered. 80 to me is too many. So I would like to see you think about changing that coding, the status of the subdivision to like an R20, where it'll be less impact on not only Mesa Meadows, but also the next new subdivision off of Mustang, Clover Meadows 3 or whatever it is. They're going to be impacted as well. The developer even said at the meeting that you'll only get half of the vehicles probably coming through Louisiana Drive. Well, could be as many as 300 new additional cars a day. I don't know where you all live, but if you live at the end of a cul-de-sac or on a busy street, adding 300 cars a day to your life is going to have a huge impact on your quality. We have a lot of kids in our neighborhood. They play in the streets and all of that. I just encourage you to look at downsizing that density and getting control on that now and forcing them to put a little more creativity into that subdivision. It's just a conglomeration of lots. There's no open space. There's no park space. None of that. It's just more traffic and more people. And I don't know if the general public is aware that we don't really get a lot of money for the town from property taxes. That's not where our revenue really comes from. It's from sales tax. And I know there's a trade-off there of more residences and more businesses bring in more people, more services will follow, and there'll be more sales tax down the line. I agree with that. I'm a realtor, and I agree, I'm not an anti-growth person. I just want to see you put some controls and some quality into what we do from this point forward. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else? All right. You have updated PSA for item 6A in your packet, included in your packet today.
This is Homes Fund contract that includes Cinnamon Heights. We currently have a contract with them that extends through next year, which is $9,040, and they do income analysis for basically Fox Farm Village. This would be for Cinnamon Heights, and of course all those duties are in Exhibit A in this.
And this has been reviewed by Attorney Goldman.
Yes, he reviewed it. He's got his thumbs up. We made a couple modifications to number 2 regarding compensation. Town Attorney Goldman added a one-time $9,600. That is all that was imagined for the first year, and then the $10,000 is ongoing maintenance afterwards. So.
All right, does the board have any questions or comments? Thought I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the professional services agreement with Homes Fund.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to our La Plata County Clerk and Recorder lease of office space here at Town Hall.
So this is actually a 2-year lease agreement versus a 1-year. So there's additional information about, the county would have to budget for 2023. This basically streamlines us a little bit more. It has been a good relationship. I think we had a bumpy start last November when the COVID pandemic was spiking, but I think we've got a good relationship. And it's also added the April election. They will be conducting, we are hoping to get an MOU to conduct, that the county will conduct the April election for the Board of Trustees.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the La Plata County Clerk and Recorder lease of space of Town Hall.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to TRC pay application number 12.
Yeah, so I thought I was going to have to go to their office and pull a bill out of them. They finished back in July. There's something that got in the way, but anyway, we finally have a final bill. It has been advertised by the requirements of the loan and grantee requirements. I have that public notice that's actually in the packet as well. And we're asking, and they have paid for Lucy Stewart's, I don't know what you call it.
Yeah,
Some of
landscape.
the issues that she was
Landscape.
Is
complaining
Lucy
about.
happy? If
That was
Lucy's
paid
happy,
for.
we can pay the bill.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? We also have Jeremy in the room if you have any final questions.
And this takes care of all retainage and everything.
Everything.
All right.
And we do have to close this out by the end of the year
Alright.
for our grant, so.
I would move that we pay TRC their final payment with, in an amount of $156,354.53.
I'll second that.
All right, any further questions, comments? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
Resolution 502, our utility relief of 2022.
So this is similar to the one that you adopted last year for 2021. This is the utility relief that if they're eligible for LEAP and they provide us documentation that they're eligible for starting November 1st, that they will be eligible for coupons starting January's billing, not the bill that comes out in January, but the charges in January for the 25% or $100 if they need an instant infusion of cash for some reason.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve Resolution 502.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 502, utility relief for 2022.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, our janitorial service bid.
So you did get 2 bids. I think it is important that I did spend some time with both submittals to get them as complete as possible. But I think that it'd probably be a good idea for the department directors to make that recommendation. One of those bids, we have some incremental costs for maybe like the marshal's office and senior center. Maybe we don't need to do the marshal's office every week, or maybe we do the senior center every 3 weeks. So I think some negotiation and some finding out if we can get some more complete information from both bidders is necessary. As I look at these bids, I think we're cutting it really close to do a cleaning every single week. So I wanted to make sure if there's anything you'd like to add, like to ask before it goes to the department directors for a little more overview of really what we need.
Yeah, I would,
We are happy to have 2.
I would defer to the staff on
What's needed.
what's needed. And that's, we just need to give direction on,
If there's anything you want us to see added, we would like to see carpets cleaned, so like that's why I'm looking at possibly, do we need every week? Well, maybe not. I mean, we've made it for 6 months so far. We may make it, in those vacant weeks when there's no custodian there.
Well, there was just one thing in there that I didn't agree with, and that was the one fellow wanted half up front.
Oh, no, not for that.
And I thought that was something I would not support.
It'd be
That's-
different if you were, if it was a construction arrangement, but that's not the case. This is a service agreement.
so that is noted, and I guess we'll bring this back to the board.
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, moving on to third-party forensic audit.
So I should back up. 2018, you adopted a resolution with public, and the board was updated that the ERT system would go away. And there was this argument between Jeremy and Rachel. We have ERTs. No, we don't have ERTs. We do have ERTs. No, we don't have
ERT.
So it's back and forth. It was found out that the commercial accounts were being charged the ERT system in Cassell even though it was assumed by the public in the process to go through that public hearing that it would be no longer that system. We did contact all the commercial accounts that were involved, that we would audit. We received one customer's input, wanted to know if the town found out he owed more, would we bill him? I said, we're gonna let you know what that would be. I said, then it's really up to the board if they decide to bill all those that are in excess. We kind of think it's actually they're gonna owe less, looking at just doing some, spot checks of some accounts. But we're asking the board wanted us to do a forensic audit by a third party. We did get a comment from Cassell, who is our finance vendor, that they are having problems with staff. They can't maintain staffing, and I'm concerned that if we do a rate change in January and we still have this, we're now going back to different versions of billing to deal with these commercial accounts. I think it was the 32 accounts that we still have to do a forensic audit. So I'm asking the board for their permission to do the audit ourselves. And in the event a customer complains, we will basically hold those aside and leave that for a forensic audit at a different time.
And, I did ask the question, we have the capacity and we have the willingness of staff to do this. It was, I think the board wanted to try to get a different set of eyes on it, but it's never gonna get done if we don't move forward with this. And I have full faith in our staff to get this project done. So, I would authorize our town staff to complete the forensic audit.
I agree.
I do too.
And do you need a vote or just direction on that?
I would like direction
Okay.
on that.
I think we'll just go ahead and move forward with staff.
You
Yeah,
got
I
direction.
think so.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Next up is our Regional Housing Alliance, appointing Trustee Politis and Town Manager Katie Sickles to the board.
This is just a formal part that we missed when you adopted we approved the last agreement with the RHA.
So just to tidy up the bylaws.
Tidy up our responsibility, your responsibility, not ours.
Do you need a motion?
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kelly Politis and Town Manager Katie Sickles to the Regional Housing Alliance Board.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion, comment? Roll call.
Trustee Black. Yes. Trustee Dallison. Yes. Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't think so.
How about you abstain? Trustee Cesaro. Yes. And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to our land use portion of the evening. We will go on to, or do we have any public input? I know we probably jumped the gun earlier on that, but. Noted. You're in there. All right, resolution 503.
Well, in August of 2020, we adopted fees. You did not have a fee structure in place for land use applications. Nancy Dosdale, the SEH consultant, as our planning consultant, basically assisted with identifying the fee structure. I think that we're short on a couple areas, and the fees are probably lacking as well. So this is a fee structure I've highlighted in the spreadsheet, basically the changes, and then I also added the same sheet that we adopted August of 2020. You might wonder why is the annexation $10,000? Just to advertise in the Herald for 4 weeks is about $1,200 to $1,500. That doesn't include engineering overview or anything else. This also basically requires the finance director to start billing by email the applicant for any deficiency in fees. And right now, I think, are they all deficient?
Pretty much. Yep.
in deposits. So basically to keep up, at least back up to 0 versus being deficient, so those applications don't get lost and they get, recorded and they still owe money. Because the problem is a consultant invoicing can almost be 6 weeks to a month later, almost 2 months later, depending on what it is. So we really should keep those deposits as current as possible.
Could we have an ordinance which would allow us to ensure that all of the fees are current before any recordation of a final is done?
You don't have an ordinance.
Or a resolution, something along
Well,
those
that's what
lines.
this is.
Okay.
This is what this is. And it has been, I don't know, it has been kind of around, but not managed. And I would have to say your finance director, Ms.
So we just
Cathcart,
need
is
to
doing a
manage
great
what we
job
have.
of following through with this.
Yeah. So if we just follow through on what we have, we'll be all right?
Yes.
Okay.
So are the highlighted items a new proposed amounts?
That's correct.
Okay. I don't see an issue with it.
I mean, we just,
Again, we're
once
in the
again, we
same
need to cover.
situation of, that we're, seem to be coming across over and over again, is
Yeah,
that
exactly.
we're not been charging enough. And
We're not covering our,
we need to cover
ourselves.
our costs.
Yeah, I need to have that explained to me a little bit, because if I understand it, the $10,000 is money down and it's refundable.
That's
at-
correct.
at the end of the
If
project.
whatever's
So
not
you
used
aren't-
is refundable.
We
That's
aren't
correct.
taking costs out of the $10,000.
We're
what-
any consultant fees, Durango Herald, Colorado Geographic.
Okay, so we are, we
It's
are
not-
They
taking,
all
it's not a
charge
deposit
us
like
for
you're
their use.
thinking.
just
It's-
one at a time, one at a time. What?
Yeah, none of it's
Somebody
free.
tell me that.
instead of building each part out as it comes up, this is just an upfront so that we can use it to get all these things done.
Okay, that wasn't my understanding when I was talking to you. I thought that was just you put that down, it's earnest money, you get it back.
It's not
But,
earnest money.
That's fine, I
It's
understand now.
it's
Okay.
it's whatever. Now I always look at councils. Do you want the developer to pay or do you
Yes.
want the community to
No,
pay?
we're not the developer.
And if you want the developer to pay, then you may
Developer.
need to make sure there's a good fee structure and deposit structure in place. And I've seen it both ways as the economy, changes. So
Any other discussion, comments?
I think it's appropriate.
On that note, I would entertain a motion to approve Resolution 503.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 503 Infrastructure Land Use Fee and Deposit Schedule, replacing all previous schedules.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any last comments? Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes,
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, so 7B, ordinance 470, it's going to be, we're going to send it to the planning commission next week.
So, it typically, the planning commission holds the public hearing first on zoning. They make that recommendation, it comes to the board, and then the board of trustees, either approve or accept their recommendation, and of course, the annexation basically is all in one ordinance. The public hearing for the zoning is next week. I'm asking basically the mayor to poll the Board of Trustees in support or opposition to this annexation, and then basically table the ordinance for the December 21st, which will be after the public hearing, after the zoning has been determined by or recommended by the Planning Commission.
Yeah, and this is not an official vote, and just keep in mind, this is based solely on the annexation. And if Kathy, if you want to do a roll call, just a yay or nay, what your feeling is at this point, you will have more information next week and a update from the planning department.
Okay.
Planning commission, sorry.
Trustee Black.
I'm a general yay.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
yes,
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
As long as I can give a preliminary and it's not seen, yay.
Yeah, this is not an official vote.
Trustee Cesaro
Yes.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yay.
Okay.
All right, and at this time, I'd also entertain a motion to table ordinance 470 until after the planning commission public hearing regarding zoning. And,
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, moving on to resolution 504.
So the annexation petition is complete. We have determined that. And Chris Hawkins is a staff member that is the planning consultant on this project. And this resolution basically sets the public hearing for the planning commission on the 11th of January and the board of trustees for annexation on the 18th. This also includes a sketch plan as well. And the applicant is also on Zoom as well.
Does the board have any questions?
Chris, do you have anything to add?
No, Katie, this doesn't bind the board at all. Any decision today basically formalizes the process to move forward with the formal rezoning and the annexation, and you'll have the full hearing and considerations, including fiscal impact in January.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
On resolution 504, I would move adoption of resolution 504, resolution of the town of Bayfield, Colorado, finding substantial compliance and initiating annexation proceedings for the Marlin Village annexation.
Can I
For the
get a-
Mustang
Sorry,
crossing.
Mustang annexation.
I'm sorry?
This is for Mustang.
Yeah. I thought you said 504.
Yeah, Mustang Crossing annexation. This is to move all the public hearings for the,
I'm sorry, on
I
mine it has 504.
apologize. The resolution is incorrect. It should say Mustang Crossing.
Okay. So I will
Thanks,
amend
Rob.
that motion to say, I did state Marlin Village annexation, it should say Mustang Crossing annexation.
I'll second.
all right, we have a motion and a second.
Sorry about that.
Any further discussion?
It's my error.
Roll call.
Trustee Black.
Yes.
Trustee Dallison.
Yes.
Trustee Joswick.
Yes.
Trustee Moreland.
Yes.
Trustee Politis.
Yes.
Trustee Cesaro.
Yes.
And Mayor Tarkington.
Yes.
All in favor.
All right, do we have any board reports to update?
Oh, my.
Didn't sound good.
Well, I don't know if we have to talk about the RHA or
I mean, feel free, this is your time if you want
COG or,
Well, you know, and yeah, there will be a discussion, substantial discussion, at the COG meeting this
Thursday.
week. Because, one, Miriam, our trusted leader, has submitted her resignation. Her last day will be on December 17th. She has really knows her stuff, and we're really gonna miss her. So, in discussions we've had, Region 9 and the COG essentially are the same geographical space, so, and much of the mission for each board is similar, but there are advantages to each one. So what we've given thought to is to have a discussion here this Thursday about possibly combining the two boards, because it will, one, there's only so much time in a day. Two, I think there'll be some economies of scale realized all along for everybody.
But the big thing is that, the Region 9 is a 501c4 organization, and the COG, as a quasi-governmental organization, maintains certain tax advantages as well. So each entity has distinct advantages in pursuing grants and funding moving forward. So that will factor into how we move forward. So it should be an interesting discussion. I'm looking forward to having it. And I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add to that. I mean, it's broadband is still the key focus, I think, of the COG primarily, that and housing. But regional housing is different than housing here. So I guess in part, and true, and that's even different than the RHA in the sense that the RHA is just countywide, whereas any housing initiatives that the COG is pursuing are region-wide. So
Yep,
Yeah,
that's all I was talking about.
Yeah, well, no more Thursday. Economic Alliance, we had our board of directors meeting last week, and we had a pretty good come to Jesus meeting, if you will, with our director, Michael French, about the direction of the Alliance and what we need to see from the Alliance to be active participants, especially as municipalities, and how much money we're investing into the Alliance. And it was well received, and I think there's going to be a huge push to really get out there and be a major player in some of these, bulleted points that we came up with, housing, all the same discussion that we're having. I invited Michael French to come out to one of our meetings to do a presentation that will probably happen. We'll give it a little time, maybe in February, about the direction and what the Alliance can bring and do for our municipality. So look for that coming up.
Great.
Anybody else? Katie, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
Don't forget about your staff dinner on Friday. And
Saturday.
Saturday. Sorry, I have a catering Friday. All right, if there's no other comment, I will adjourn this meeting. It is 8:12.
my daughter and my son are having their Christmas party that same day, and that starts at like 4:30.
What's crazy is that, like this time,
The fee schedule thing was a whole topic of discussion because Chris wouldn't allow anybody to add.
I think so, yeah.
Can I turn these off?
I just,
Because he said it would scare off
when I
all
turned in my,
But it's, and the town just kept
Yeah, then we
losing it.
don't have the.